Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the week 5 of season 14 of the Black Twitch League. We've got a riveting matchup here tonight. The Knights of Ishtar versus Cat Cowboys, two of the top teams here in the league. It's your boy Cooley Live, and I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Polar Bear. How are we doing tonight? Starting to think there might be some mic issues going on for my friend and with
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Polar Bear.
I am here now. I'm doing great.
All right, so now we're going ahead and getting into this draft. How are we feeling about the band so far? Of course, you might notice Knights of Ishtar forced to drop their first band because of a little rescheduling issue that occurred. But they're going to be rocking with it nonetheless. But we do have all of our bands in place as well as this Nautilus first pick.
Yeah, but Nala's first pick is interesting. I'm curious to see if it's gonna be flex mid or if they're still gonna just stick it in the bot lane.
100%, especially coming out of MSI with the emergence of Nautilus mid, we've seen it as become quite a contentious pick for a lot of these teams here in BTL. And we saw it last week. I believe it was the Knights of Ishtar as well, bringing it out. And now they're trying to see maybe we run with that flex this time around. However, it is going to be Cat Cowboys going ahead and responding with the Janna Jin bot lane, the double J's.
Yeah, definitely a really safe bot lane. So it looks like Cowboys are just saying we're gonna kind of sit back and just farm it out. Curious to see what the response is gonna be out of the Knights. Could pick something aggro or could just kind of handshake it and be like, okay, we'll see your scaling and we'll match with like Jinx, Caitlyn, something like that.
They're gonna opt for once again some more engaged, some more aggression, like you were talking about. That J4 pick has just been so strong as of late, even after the nerfs, has just seen so much usage and just has had such success not only in competitive play but also here within our own league. So starting to see how this Knights of Ishtar team is forming. They're looking to make plays, they're looking to spread out the Cat Cowboys, and they're looking to really just isolate them with these strong CC options, and they're opting for the Draven as well.
Raven, a very good aggro pick. Definitely saying we want to stomp lane. We are not going to give you free reign to scale. Definitely trying to punish this weak early game bot lane. So
Looking at the lobby chat real quick, and it's looking like Frostbite saying he's getting the Draven tech from Tyler One himself after 1v1ing him this past weekend. He has it warm and ready for
he's
this
ready
battle.
for it.
How are we feeling about the Gragas pick rounding out this first three for Cat Cowboys? We're seeing there's a lot of poke here early on from the Janna Jin, and then of course now Gragas offering a bit of disengage as well as that poke from explosive barrels. So how are we feeling about this the composition and how it's going to be playing into this super aggro comp that Knights of Ishtar has put together so far?
I kind of like the Gragas. It buys a lot of space for the Jin, especially with the amount of heavy engage on the side of the Knights. We see the Ornn taken away so that they can't just, lock them down in even more forms of CC. But it's kind of gonna depend what else they see in this draft. Not entirely sure if they need more engage or they kind of just need a little bit more damage. They definitely need some AP heavy damage. Draven Jarvan is not an insignificant amount of AD, so be curious to see how that goes.
100%. And it's really going to come down to whether or not Knights of Ishtar, it's going to come down to who they play through, really, because as we saw last week, anyone on this team at any moment can go absolutely off. We saw Ventro going crazy on the Syndra, which is probably attributed to why it's banned here in that first three from Cat Cowboys. But then we quickly saw the next game, Frostbite and Chicken the Wing absolutely tearing it up, with of course Voberto just going crazy both games. So there's really so many different avenues that Knights of Ishtar can take to be able to put a really successful game together. And with this composition early on, it's looking like they're trying to get everyone involved. Ooh!
Be a Zir lock.
Zir
okay.
Pick.
I like it. I like it. That's some spicy stuff. That's some spicy stuff happening in the mid lane.
Between
Oh, go ahead.
Between the Cyclone and the Shurima Shuffle and the Explosive Gasket, I'm expecting such crazy outplays to happen this game, especially once we hit that 16 to 18 minute range. Once things start to get fully online, we are seeing Knights of Ishtar go ahead and lock in that Scion to be an anchor in the top lane. You know, there's already a lot of bulk for this Knights of Ishtar team. The Nautilus and J4 now on top of the Scion. There's just going to be a lot of damage needed to take this team down.
Yeah, definitely. The Victor pick into Azir is definitely something that's seen a lot of competitive play. Both of them are very good scalers and have a decent amount of poke, so nothing too surprising to see there.
100%. Now it's going to come down to how Cowboys want to round out this composition. Of course, Gragas still being able to be flex top or jungle. It would be interesting to see where they decide to wrap it up. Of course, I'm thinking that's going to be their jungler with this being their top pick here, looking like it's going to be a Shen pick.
That's very interesting. That kind of feels like a weird pick into the Scion because you don't really want to give him too much free time. Like, yes, it is only a Scion, so like worst case scenario, he's just super tanky. But into a team with a Jhin, that doesn't really feel like what you want to prioritize here, at least to me.
I mean, the way that I'm seeing this composition come down is that Cowboys is trying to play extremely safe, and they're trying to keep themselves protected as long as possible. You know, you see such heavy disengaged material here with all of the ultimates, as well as a lot of like supporting abilities that can be used between Janna Cyclone or Shen ult. There's just so many different ways that Cowboys can disengage the entry from Knights of Ishtar that it's going to be interesting to see how they want to play these team fights. I really think that Knights of Ishtar is going to be wanting to go for these early 3v2s or these early 3v3s around these objectives that will allow them to make the plays that they want to get ahead. But we also know that Knights of Ishtar typically have a slow start, particularly in the bot side of the map. So are they going to want to maybe try to speed this up, hit it on fast zone, or are we going to be seeing some of the resources shared across the map, you know, share the wealth like it's a Monopoly card? But they have the avenues for both.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. I'm not entirely sure how this game's going to play out. It's going to come down to a lot of positioning by the Jhin, because if he gets caught, he's just going to die. He has no other form of peel outside of Gragas. Janna will offer a good bit, but she can only do so much for your team. So it's kind of still trying to play around that while dodging all the forms of engage on top of dealing out enough damage through that heavy tank Scion.
100%, and not only that, but Frostbite on this Draven could get very scary if things go awry for the Cowboys. You know, looking at this composition that the Cowboys have put together for themselves, it's looking like if a Draven gets a quick early 2-3 kills, that could snowball into oblivion for them, and that would not look great here for the Cowboys early on in this game one.
Yeah, for sure. And, definitely going to be a lot of pressure on both the Jhin and on the Gragas. Jhin has to, like I've said, position well, make sure he's not getting randomly caught out before team fights, also trying to cut through that massive front line. But it's just so much effort to try to put it all on him. And then Gragas has his one ability to disengage the entirety of Knights of Ishtar. So trying to find that angle is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on.
I think if you're Cowboys here, you're also hoping that any of those heavy engaged fights occur with both Gragas and Azir involved. You know, being able to combo the Explosive Gasket into the Emperor's Divide will provide them a lot of wiggle room and breathing room to be able to get out of those tricky situations that they can find themselves in. Especially if Knights of Ishtar wants to play that super aggro game that they have in the past.
Oh, definitely. So I expect to see a lot of action towards the bottom side of the map. Knights wanting to get the Draven ahead, Cowboys wanting to keep their bot lane safe, make sure they have ample time to scale to 3, maybe even 4 items. So definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for.
Something that we do have to keep in mind here as we get into this Week 5 matchup The Cat Cowboys are coming off of a loss last week. They were previously ranked the second best team in the league. And now they're starting to get their resolve tested a little bit, especially going off against Knights of Ishtar, who are by means the best team in this league.
For sure, and that's definitely going to be weighing pretty heavy on their mental. Definitely something we're going to have to keep track of in this series to see how shaken they were after that loss, see if they've managed to recover that momentum that they had had before this.
You know, after last week's match against Rat Legion, we did have a chance to pull in one of the Knights of Ishtar players, and we talked about this matchup coming up this coming week, and they said that they were not scared whatsoever, that they weren't even worried about the rest of the schedule, that they felt they had an easy breezy way to finals. And we're only in week 5. I don't know about you, but playoffs haven't even been set yet. So that's a lot of talk coming out of this Knights of Ishtar squad, but the way that they've been playing, they deserve to be confident.
Definitely, and I think we'll see that in their play. They'll probably play a very aggressive game, especially with this sort of a draft. So it'll kind of be on Cowboys to mitigate damage where they can, make sure they can push whatever leads they can find early so that they can scale into the part of the game where they can actually team fight, contest objectives, look to all in on any potential picks they find, make sure that they keep their momentum, and that last week was just kind of a fluke.
All right, so if you could wrap up and summarize this game in 3 key takeaways, how would you do it?
My first takeaway would be a lot of this game is going to be decided by Jhin and Gragasult. The second one is the Knights have to get ahead early or they're kind of doomed. They don't really have they have Victor for scaling, and Sion won't be terrible, but if they fall too far behind, their comp doesn't scale hard enough to deal with the outs that Cowboys have. And third, I expect to see a lot of bot lane action because of the first 2 points.
I could not have said it any better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we're going to kick it to a short break to let this spectator delay continue ticking away. But stick around, you won't want to miss the action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kicking things off here, we're seeing a little bit of a cheeky invade from the Knights of Ishtar. That's going to be the Nautilus hook from Chicken the Wing onto Disabled Rat. Not looking great there, but the belly flop out of harm's way will go down. That's going to force Knights of Ishtar off. Nothing too crazy to start us off.
Nothing too crazy. Doesn't even force the flash, so not even a big deal.
Response, though, we are going to get a little bit of vision coming out from the Cowboys onto this red buff of Knights of Ishtar. That'll give them a nice little bit of an indicator of how Voperto is going to want to be playing this game. We're already getting some poking skirmishing going down in the mid lane. Lots of whatever you want.
These are some spicy trades right here. These are definitely not how I saw this going. I expect everyone to kind of just sit back, you know, chillax, make sure nothing crazy is happening, except maybe in bot lane as we see another hook come out.
Big hook coming out from Chicken the Wing here to get a little bit of damage down onto Taxing Colt. Frostbite will be able to follow it up with a big axe. So that's going to be a winning trade to start. Nothing going to amount from it just yet, though. Ooh. And a little bit of spicy here, Chicken the Wing is with these hooks.
Yeah, definitely trying to play as aggro as possible, making sure he can find his Drave in those leads.
I think a big key here for the Knights of Ishtar, like we were talking about in that pregame, is that they're going to want to make Cowboys uncomfortable. They do not want to let this very unaggro team deal with the aggro coming out from Chicken the Wing here. There's going to be the root from Jin. Taxing Cold is getting super low, has to pop flash, and the heal coming out from Jin. Mointment, though, gets the fourth shot down, isn't enough to secure the kill onto Frostbite, and that's going to force the back off coming out from Knights of Ishtar. But Chicken the Wing wants more. Is going to get Zephyred up, though, gets the root, and the follow-up root from Jin is going to miss. There's just a lot of CC coming out, but not enough damage to secure these kills.
Yeah, but both bot laners for Cowboys well below half, and this is a Draven. Like, this is not anything to sneeze at. This is some dangerous territory for them. They have to be very careful they don't get hit by any more hooks. Chicken the Wing just hit hook after hook after hook, it feels like. I don't think I've seen him miss a hook yet.
We do see Disabled Rat now trying to posture here as he does wait for Scuttle to come up. He is making his way down. There's no vision in the bush. Chicken the Wing goes in here. I'd imagine the follow-up from Gragas is coming through, but Voperto here as well. They are going to spot each other out, and the hook will go wide. Disabled Rat belly flopping out of harm's way once more. That is just going to be a little bit of a disengage from both sides.
Yeah, GG go next, support miss hook. Sorry, can't really do anything.
It's looking like both of these teams are going to have a little bit of a standoff here for Scuttle, and it's going to be Knights of Ishtar backing off of it for the time being. Taxing Colt did make their way up to support this Gragas in his effort of securing that Scuttle, and he will get it.
Yeah, just a little bit of skirmishes here and there. Probably see Voperto just roam up to take top Scuttle. Or maybe potentially look for a bot gank. I don't know if he knows that he's on vision.
Has been bot side a lot here. Here's another hook, though, coming out from Chicken the Wing. Double Tornado gonna land. Root comes out from Jin as well, but is forced to back off because of such low health. Mid is happening as well with a bit of a fight. There was a bit of poke coming out from Steve the Panda to push Ventro back. And I think this early game is going exactly how Cowboys wanted to, not letting Knights of Ishtar get any sort of aggression or any sort of foothold into this game early on.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the scaling advantage probably goes to Cowboys just based on their comp. So anything they can do to either find an early lead or make sure that Knights can't get one is effort well spent.
Havoc Pigeon putting down a lot of damage here onto Tygoon. The level up, though, will be able to mitigate some of that damage. Gets another auto down, but Voperto starting to move up. Will get spotted on this ward, but it may be a little too late here for Havoc Pigeon. Trying to get some damage done, trying to maybe get a one-for-one trade. Pops the flash. Double flash coming out, Tygoon. Oh, a sliver of health here. Disabled Rat going to be moving up. Uses the W to try and get a little bit more bulk before going in. Is flashing, misses the belly flop, throws out the barrel, and gets first blood here. Will go down in a one-for-one trade.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really worth for Cat Cowboys. I don't like maybe if you can get the kill and get out, that's a better trade, but the fact that he traded, especially into a Scion, is not ideal. Because Scion's just gonna be a problem tank anyways. So
We
the fact that he's
do
now
still
going to
have-
be even Go ahead.
We do still have a little bit of a fight going down as Voperto stays topside after Havoc Pigeon returning. Not going to be able to catch him off guard though, but that wave is coming in hot here for the Knights of Ishtar.
For sure. It's kind of weird seeing them play through topside, considering how volatile their bot lane is. But maybe just deciding, oh, I'm already pathing up to this side, might as well try and get a gank or two, put the Shen further behind, make his level 6 power spike delayed. We see a nice little taunt under tower. That's actually
turret shot going to be
really big
huge
damage
here. Havoc Pigeon might be able to run him down here. Perto is topside, but isn't close enough to help. Tygoon narrowly evading death there as Havoc Pigeon does not have the damage to take him out.
Yeah, that was really close. If Sion hadn't gotten that kill and didn't have enough money for boots, he's just dead there. Like, he would not have enough health to stick around. As he immediately decides to stick around.
Yeah. Opting to stay, Voperto is making his way up. It's looking like they're going to be calling for it. A big root down onto Chicken the Wing, though. Not going to be able to follow through and secure it is Mointment, but they have no idea that Voperto is stalking his prey. Gets hit with turret shot, but will be able to secure one, so that's going to be yet another 1-for-1 here for both sides. On the other side of the map, though, Chicken the Wing will be getting that engage onto Mointment and is getting quite low, is forced to flash here. Follow-up flash coming out from Mointman, and he's going to be able to secure it. Disabled Rat is there for the follow-up. They are going to get a little bit more damage down onto Frostbite, but it's not going to do anything. But that is going to be a really big kill here for this Jhin.
Yeah, that's massive for Cat Cowboys. Just getting your Jhin fed, who's going to be your hyper carry. But just the fact that he got that early kill is so big. It's gonna significantly throw the lane in their favor. The fact that the Draven didn't die is still really good for the Knights of Ishtar, but you don't want that to happen if you're the Knights. You want to be the one getting the early gank off, as we see a potential engage here.
Here we go. Cataclysm coming out from Voperto. That's going to be a kill going down for both Ventro and Frostbite. However, the Havoc Pigeon will be able to TP in. Emperor's Divide is only going to connect on Ventro. It isn't going to separate out too much. Disabled Rat cannot get over the wall and will fall to Ventro once more. That's going to be another kill here for Ventro on the Victor, being so low. And Chicken the Wing trying to run down Havoc Pigeon. Ventro, though, gonna get a root of his own. They're both so low. This could be a double. It gets one for Havoc Pigeon. And that is going to be, what, a 2 for 3? 3 for 2? Something like that. It's a Wendy's 4 for 4 out here, the way that it's looking. Havoc the Pigeon, though, is in harm's way. Voperto are going to be trying to run him down here. Is about to secure it. Gets the taunt, though. A lot of damage. And he's going to live. But it's actually going to go over to Jhin. Thanks to the plant. Oh my goodness. Jhin.
Wow, that was such a crazy fight. Ends up being about an even fight, but the fact that the kill went over to Draven at the start of it is definitely not ideal. Really not what you want to be. Kind of defeats the point of that earlier gank. The Draven getting his earth back out.
That shutdown onto Jhin from the J4 is going to be huge here, especially as you look ahead and you already see that Frostbite has Essence Reaver. You know, you're already half an item down, but now you do have at least that little bit of shutdown gold to alleviate.
For sure, but Draven already having an item, look at him chunk Vajana like it's nothing. Just one auto does like 30 or 40% of her health.
Mointman has been out of lane for quite a while now, does have the Storm Razor, so you got to think, okay, you know, you waited for item, but now you're down 23 CS. What is it going to be enough? Ooh, Steve the Panda able to narrowly evade the gank coming out from Voperto.
Yeah, it's really close call there. But good on him to avoid that gank. As we see more trading in the top side, it's just kind of two tanks wailing on each other. It's not really going to do anything.
blow for blow indeed, but on the bot side of the map, it's looking like we're shaping up for some spicy action. There's the hook, there's the flag onto Disabled Rat. The ultimate is going to get popped here onto Steve the Panda. Disabled Rat trying to make his way out. There's a lot of damage going down. Vaperto will be able to get the kill onto Gragas. Mointman going to get caught out here by the Cataclysm. Emperor's Divide will be able to catch out 3 as Steve the Panda hopes to get out of the harm's way with 3 for nothing going down for Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, that's really bad. Getting luckily for them, Draven didn't get any of those kills, but losing 3 there is terrible for the state of your game. Especially if you're trying to just sit back and scale. That's not what you want.
Now the Knights of Ishtar are starting to get a lot more aggressive. They've already built an over 4,000 gold lead here with only 11 minutes into the game. So things are looking a little bit treacherous here for the Cowboys. They're not trying to get lost in space as they look to get back into this game.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, definitely not the state of game you want to be in if you're Cowboys, but it's not an insurmountable lead. They still have really good scaling. Their Jhin already has 2 kills and an item. Draven's up half an item, but that's not the be-all, end-all situation. So there are still outs for the Cowboys. It's just kind of going to come down to how well can they execute on those leads.
Another thing to be careful here, too, is that Ventro has not been checked yet. You know, the damage output is only increasing, but hold that thought because Chicken the Wing wants to go in on Taxing Cold, lands the hook. Frostbite is following suit. Aren't able to get any further damage down. It was just a nice little peekaboo hook, line, and sinker. Just to be annoying, a little bit of a blast cone pop as well.
Yeah, just saying hi, making sure they know who's boss. You can't walk there. This is my river. Or area next to...
Your jungle's my jungle.
Exactly.
It's a nice little game of me casa, su casa, but except you casa, my casa.
Yeah, all the casas are mine. It's
all the casas are mine. Disabled Rat gonna go ahead and drop this Herald here into bot lane. Trying to pressure Frostbite and Chicken the Wing back just a little bit. It will be able to get at least 2 plates over to Mointment and Disabled Rat, which is going to be a little good chunk of gold here. Vaperto will be making his way down, though, and it's looking like they'll be able to meet in River. Intro following very closely behind, though. This is not a fight that the Cowboys would want to take. It's looking like they're going to be trying to wrap around and go for the 4-man. Actually, Tygoon following through lane as well.
Yeah, no, definitely trying to do his best to protect his bot lane, but there are 5 people on the bot side of the map, which is not what you want if you're Cowboys, because you just want to kind of AFK and scale, and the entire enemy team is like, okay, but what if you didn't?
Now, here we go. Big flash, belly flop coming out. Explosive gas is going to force Chicken the Wing under turret, but it is not going to connect. That's a 3 with the ultimate, and that's going to be Cyclone coming out. Chicken the Wing, though, was going to be able to put down a little bit more damage as the Shen will finally TP in. Emperor's Divide will isolate 2, and here comes the Cataclysm. Will connect on 2 of his own. Tygoon will get the double kill using his W, and that is going to force the Havoc Pigeon to fly for the hills, but is going to get chased down. Vaperto has not had enough. Chicken the Wing has not had enough. And that is going to be another kill for the Draven. They're not done. They want more. Give it another one to the Draven. That is going to be 3 for the Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, that looked good at the start. The Shen ult plus the Azir teleport into the Shurima Shuffle all looked great. But once they did all of that, they just didn't have any consistent damage to cut through the rest of Knights of Ishtar, so they kind of just got ran down by the Draven, who was mostly untouched in that fight.
It's looking quite rough here. Taxing Cold, you might be overstepping just a little bit here, bud. To back up, run for the hills. Now, but as we can see, it's going to be now with less than a minute here on this Rift Herald. The attentions are going to be focused once again to the top side of this map. There's already a 2-dragon lead here for Knights of Ishtar. They have a 6k gold lead. They have the kill lead. I think they're comfortably in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah, I think they might be in a slightly good position this game. Just maybe. But yeah, that fight just turning the way it did, just making the rest of this game so much more difficult for Cowboys. It's what, 10,000 gold lead right now? I think. My stream is a little blurry. 6K. So not quite as bad, but still not where you want it to be. You want to be the team that's ahead or even at this point of the game. But if you're already down 6K gold at 16 minutes, where are you gonna go from here?
Now we're seeing Knights of Ishtar pushing 4 men onto this Rift Herald. They do not want to let up the advantage that they've built for themselves. They're thinking, okay, you know, now that we've taken a lead in all aspects of the game, it's time to break open this map and it's time to start generating some momentum. Looking like they want to take this fight here. The root is going to miss here. Taxing Cold is going to go down to the ultimate from Draven, and Frostbite wants more. He's trying to get that cold touchdown onto Mointman as well, and it's not looking great for them, but it's going to be Voperto and Chicken the Wing looking to collapse here onto Mointman. They can have the dive. That's going to be the Rift Herald pop mid. They're looking to break open this tier 1 here as Curtain Call will get popped.
Yeah, trying to zone a little bit, maybe see if he can push them off the tower so they can't get significantly more. He will eventually do that, but not really what you want to see if you're Cowboys. You want to be the one in the driver's seat, like I keep saying, but it's kind of hard to say anything else when you pick a team that wants to scale and you fall behind like this.
100%. And you know, as the Cowboys look ahead, there's very few windows of opportunity that they have to really get back into this game. It's gonna start though by getting those shutdowns from Draven and Tygoon specifically. We already see that they're trying to spread themselves across the map. They've already sent Ventro top to be able to take care of this tier 1. It looks like this next wave might be enough to do it if he's pushing Havoc Pigeon back. There's really nothing that Cowboys are playing for yet, and they don't really know where to go with themselves. They haven't been able to put too much pressure onto these turrets yet, but yet they feel like they don't have a vision in mind.
Yeah, the problem is at this state of the game, unless like if Cowboys were playing as a super cohesive unit and they're like, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z in this order for this reason, there's definitely ways for them to get out. As I say that, there's a fight.
Double flash coming out here. Havoc Pigeon very narrowly evading death, but it's going to be Taxing Colt who catches out Ventro. Tygoon on the TP will be able to get the Shen down and is now running at Janna, flashing the Mastery, and will get knocked up to the Tornado. That's a 1-for-1 on both sides, but that will be the turret going down. In the mid of the map, though, that's going to also be tier 2 going down here for the Cowboys as Knights of Ishtar look to put pedal to the metal and not let up.
Yeah, I think that's a good trade if you're Cowboys. Getting any amount of gold into your pockets, even if it's onto the Shen, is still a worthwhile trade, as we see them potentially looking to go on the Scion, which is not a recommended play, but still looking for it.
All 5 men are here. Here's the Cataclysm onto Toxin, Cold, and Mointment. The Cyclone will not be enough. Disengage, and they are getting mowed down. The Cowboys are being put to the pound. Voperto all over the map. That is going to be the ace for the Knights of Ishtar. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was a rough fight. The flash EQ, or the Jarvan EQ flash Cataclysm over the wall that you can't react to unless you previously had vision, and they just didn't have any vision in that area because they're so behind. And now it's kind of feeling like the onus is on Knights of Ishtar to lose this game rather than it is for Cowboys to come back into it.
Absolutely, and the story of this game so far has been the coordination of the Knights. They've just been charging full throttle all together, one mind, and they've been able to put so many great plays together. And we talked about it before. Their playmaking is going to be what drives the success of this team. So far, they've been able to put a very impressive string of plays together.
Yeah, no, they've definitely been using their comp well, understanding what advantages they have, getting a few key team fight wins. Like the 5-man gank bot lane, understanding what they needed to do for that fight. As we see a potential engage in mid lane.
And the flash should be coming out from Mointman to avoid the ultimate from Tygoon. Unstoppable Force will be stopped in this instance. And it looks like they were trying to posture for yet another fight in Fog of War. Will get spotted out by the Vision Plant though. And now it's going to be a little bit of engage. Here comes that's a big tornado though. Voberto will go down. Havoc Pigeon able to get that shutdown onto J4. Curtain Call will get popped. And now, that's a lot of damage here. Frostbite will be able to get one, and there's going to be a chain of CC going down onto disabled rat. Flash E will get Ventro down, but it will be the ultimate from Draven who catches him out for the double. Isn't able to evade harms just yet, but Frostbite forced to flash after getting divided by the Emperor of Shurima will narrowly avoid death. The turret shot as well, and they want more. Steve DePanda says he's not done. Mointman will get the shutdown before being the face end of a hook from Chicken the Wing. They're gonna run away here. Finally some life here for the Cat Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely a good thing to see if you're a Cat Cowboys fan. Finding those picks, even if they traded back, is still super important at this stage of the game. Finding any amount of gold you can, especially on your carries, especially on the Jhin, is what you really need to even have a chance of coming back into this game. And fights like that are how you're gonna do it.
Absolutely, and you see, we're starting to see how the Cat Cowboys can actually get into this, and it starts with the decimation of J4. It feels like because of how much of a proactive start that J4 has been able to be for these fights, being able to be their prime source of engage aside from Nautilus, being able to isolate 2 or 3 members at a time. The second that J4 is out of the fight, a lot of windows that Cat Cowboys can take.
Yeah, for sure. Taking the Jarvan out of the fight is a significant amount of their immediate damage and engage. So if you can poke him down, make it a one-way trip, or at least trade it so that when he goes in, he does die and give you the teamfight advantage. That's definitely something you're going to want to focus on as a Cowboy.
And now we do see Knights of Ishtar starting this Baron off. They have 4 men on it with Tygoon splitting down bot. That's a lot of damage onto disabled rat, and no one is going to be able to stop the Knights here unless this Curtain Call just narrowly off target there with the damage not being enough. Havoc Pigeon gonna match Tycoon in the bot lane, but that Baron buff will start to be quite futile here for the Cat Cowboys.
Yeah, Baron empowered minion push is going to make this even more difficult. Jhin not really the best champion for clearing waves when behind, especially super minions. So definitely going to be a little difficult as we see them trying kind of in vain to kill this Scion.
Yeah, it's a PvE out here for Scion trying to take on the entire squad. Venture will be TPing in to be able to provide a little bit of support for Tygoon. Cyclone will go down to get Voperto out of the way, but he's just going to shift his attention onto Mointman. Jhin will go down, and that is going to be the switch on over to Azir. That's going to be the double. Venture finishing it off onto Havoc Pigeon. What a collapse here from Cat Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure. They thought they could get a pick on Scion, but the Knights just had such a good collapse that they couldn't find anything in the end and end up losing, what was it, 4 at the end? We just see those.
Yeah, basically. Now, Frostbite looking to take matters into his own hands, trying to see if he could take this 1v2 and just end the game off as the timers for the Cat Cowboys are finally coming back. They are able to prevent losing just yet. The way that this game is going, it's looking quite rough.
Yeah, I think Cat Cowboys needs to start thinking about game number 2 and what they need to change, as, you know, Draven's just casually critting for 500 as he very casually steps out of the way of that barrel.
Tygoon now going to be able to teleport in, provide a little bit of support here for Frostbite. Frostbite going to be just chunking away at disabled rat. So much damage. They're going to be sending this Shen to jump right onto the taunt. for Frostbite, but it's not gonna matter. He's just gonna get mowed down. And now the Knights of Ishtar are going to be looking to go ahead and to break open the bot side of the base here for the Cowboys, and they're not done. Frostbite wants more. He's being super greedy, and he has every right to do so. Emperor's Divide, though, will provide a little bit of spacing. Mointment, though, gonna have the flash to be able to get the kill down onto Frostbite. Voperto goes down as well. You're getting a couple of decent picks here for Cowboys, but now you only have this Azir and Jhin to be able to stop the push, but it will be enough for now.
Yeah, Knights of Ishtar just recognizing we probably can't end the game here. No reason to throw and give over more gold and potential shutdowns. But even with those picks, I don't know that it's going to be enough to be a solution to the problem that they find themselves in currently.
No, definitely, and especially they were already able to break that first Nexus turret. There's very minimal defense there, and Disabled Rat not making things easy here. Shen TP will come out, Explosive Gas Kit will come out, but the damage is not there. Chicken the Wing will be able to provide a little bit of lockdown here, and will survive in the meantime. Tygoon gonna dance on him, the disrespect. The Unstoppable Force trying to drift himself in like it's Fast and Furious 10, the sequel, isn't going to be able to connect here. It's going to start getting chunked out just a little bit by Steve DePanda, but they're at a position where they can do as they please. The super minions are crashing into the base of the Cowboys. It's a, 15k gold difference at this point, and now with Cloud Soul going over, I'm willing to throw in the towel here for Cowboys.
Yeah, it's kind of over at this point. There's not really a whole lot to be done. Even if they got the perfect team fight, the wallets on the side of the Knights of Ishtar are just too heavy. They can't do anything, not for lack of trying, to be sure, but like Azir just got 4-shot. And what do you do to outplay that?
A 4-item Draven will do that to you, and it looks like this might be the push that the Knights of Ishtar need to put this first game away. Waves are coming in. They have one in the top and bot side of the map. The only member they're missing is Venture, but he has TP up, and there it is coming in. There's the engage, though. Both Voperto and Chicken the Wing are going to miss, but the damage is just too much for the Cowboys to handle. The kitties are being killed. That is going to be game 1 in favor of the Knights of Ishtar.
Yep, just gonna take some time, try and get some extra kills at the end. Nothing too crazy. Just having some fun while they wait for the game to end.
If you're Cowboys, what are you coming out of this game with in terms of being able to adjust for game 2? Because it feels like execution was just falling flat left and right. Nothing was going right for them.
Yeah, I think they had some good fights. The problem was the way the fights played out. They had really good execution on the fight, but they couldn't capitalize on what they were trying to do. So, like, they had that one 5v5 fight where they had Shenton into a massive Azir wall, and they caught, like, 3 people with it, which was great, but once they did that, they ran out of damage because they had an early game Jhin. So, it's either they need to prioritize where they actually want to fight and what types of fights they want to take, and maybe say, okay, so we know all 5 of them are down here, so we'll just give bot tower while we push in top lane and potentially mid lane, depending on where Azir was. I don't entirely remember, but I think you need to reassess where you think what you think your team fight is going to do.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of it, not to put blame on anyone in specific, but Disabled Rat really needs to position better, much better in those fights. It feels like there was so many moments where the Gragas was just caught out entirely, and then suddenly there was no disengage available for the Cowboys. They couldn't control or maintain anything coming their way that the Knights of Ishtar were throwing at them.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to a short break as we get ready for Game 2. Stick around. Knights of Ishtar are charging.
Fjärnet din väg is glad.
Welcome back to Game 2 of the Knights of Ishtar versus the Cowboys. It's Week 5 of the Black Twitch League. It's Cooley Live, joined by the one and only Mr. Polar Bear. Now, as we go ahead and get into the draft for Game 2, Mr. Polar, how do you think the Cowboys need to respond to be able to bring this series to a Game 3?
I think they need to play a lot more of an aggressive early game. From what I saw in the previous game, it seemed like they really wanted to fight early. They didn't want to cede any tower pressure or objectives kind of thing unless they were forced off of it. So I think if they pick a lot of early game camps, that'll go a lot better for them and they can push that advantage that way. Otherwise, they need to understand that if they're going to play scaling, that they need to buy time to scale and try not to pick as many fights as we see the immediate Leona lock in.
I think they're listening into you, but starting with that early aggressive Leona pick, that could spell danger here, though, because Knights of Ishtar could just ultimately shut that down if they go for something crazy like a Kog'Maw Melio lane that will just shred this Leona and whatever they decide to pair with it. But just as a reminder, the Knights of Ishtar are going to be down one ban due to the fact the ones to ask for the reschedule. And, rules are rules schmools. In response, though, we do see the Nautilus once more coming out from the Knights of Ishtar. We saw Chick in the Wing absolutely put on a performance last game with it. Do you think they opt to flex it this time?
No, it's kind of feels like a 50-50 to me, because it worked really well last game.
It did indeed, and they did pick these first two champions the exact same way they did last time. Nautilus and the J4, so much playmaking potential here for the Knights of Ishtar. They had so many routes of entry that there was just no way for the Cowboys to respond. But this time, they're going with the Belveth.
Ooh, a very spicy pick. Haven't seen a lot of Belveth recently. The nerfs were not particularly kind to her, but definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
With the item changes happening in 13.10 and 13.11, and especially this rise of the Rage Blade, we've seen Belveth start to pick up where she left off upon first introduction, and she's starting to be a little bit more prominent here, and I'm excited to see what they're able to accomplish here. Disabled Rat, of course, had an underwhelming game 1, but might be able to bring this back game 2 with Belveth, and especially now with the pairing of the Xayah as a way to wrap up that bot lane combo with Leona.
Oh, very interesting choice picking the Xayah, but without the Rakan. I guess assuming the Nautilus is going to be going bot lane, so trying to play around that Nautilus into Rakan is not a super favorable matchup for the Rakan, just because of how much lockdown he has and how squishy Rakan is.
Mm-hmm.
As we see the Varus counter pick on hit, very good right now. It'll be interesting to see if he goes for that or the more standard lethality build.
I think Varus has always had like 4 builds that he could go. Yeah. He's just been such a dumb champion. Well, you personally would say what?
Oh, personally, I prefer the on-hit version because it's just funnier. Plus, every time I try and throw a Q, my internet decides that's the minute that I'm gonna jump to like 120 ping for no reason. So I'm like, if I can like at least right-click you vaguely, I don't care what my ping is.
And no piercing arrows there, but the autos will always connect. And now, as we get into the second stage of bans here, we're starting to... I think we've seen the exact same bans from both sides. I don't think that Silas pick was there last time. Could be wrong about that.
I don't remember the Silas, so it could be something different. But would have to keep an eye.
Once again, we're seeing that Ornn ban coming out from Cowboys. They really do not want Tygoon to be on such a heavy playmaking champion once more like the Ornn, who can really bring team compositions and wombo combo comps like this to life. especially with the threat of the ornaments, they do not want to risk playing into that whatsoever. Ooh. Opting for a Mordekaiser here. They have the counter pick, and they opt to give that to their mid laner. Going with the Mordekaiser at R4.
That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure why they blind the Mordekaiser unless they have a very specific answer that they're trying to pick for mid lane. Like they can see, oh, I know this is probably going to come out, so I can play around it by picking, oh, the Olaf. Pretty heavy Mord counter. Mord is not one of those champs that you can blind pick as easily.
And leaving that mid spot open still leaves the possibility for Nautilus to go mid. We're about to see what Cowboys is gonna pick as their mid option. They were hovering Annie just a second ago before opting for that Olaf into Mordekaiser matchup, which is super favorable, like you were just mentioning. They're gonna decide to wrap up their comp once again with putting that Victor into play.
Yeah, the Victor definitely did well in the previous game. He had some very good Chaos Storms to kind of buy space. I don't know what the name of his W is, but the little slow field into a stun definitely
Magnetic field.
Yeah, Magnetic Field definitely made it harder for the Jin to play the game for Cowboys. So it'll be flipped to the other side, but be interesting to see how it's piloted by the opposing mid laner.
Oh, the pick isn't going to go through, but it is going to be a Kled.
Oh,
is what I'm reading here from the Knights of Ishtar. The final pick is going to be Kled. That changes things up a bit. So what does that mean? That could be Kled top, Nautilus mid, Mordekaiser jungle. That could be Mordekaiser mid, Kled top, Nautilus jungle, or not Nautilus support still. There's a lot of different routes here that the Knights of Ishtar can take, and it's going to take us going into game to be able to see where they opt to put these choices.
Yeah, I think if you really